Yo, Dre, I got something to say. I'm going to talk about uh, some brown people living around here. I'm in Northwest Arkansas, and I'm also going to talk a little bit about the U.S. industrial military complex. And, we talk a lot about capitalism on my channel. We talk about the police state fueling capitalism. Well, speaking of police, they get to stay busy with more brown people around here, and you can go up to them. You can say, "Hola, amigo," and they'll look at you like, "Not Latina here." Um, so, where do they come from? Well, they look a little Asian, maybe Polynesian, maybe from Hawaii, maybe the Polynesian, the Tongas. But though you got a little bit of that Asian, so what's out there in the middle? No, 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 they're brown. They must have hiked across that desert for a better way. Well, it's better way. We're talking about the Marshallese people. People from the Marshall Islands, the RMI, the Republic of Marshall Islands. That better way, they left paradise right out there in the middle of the Pacific Oceans between the Philippines, way, way, way west, and Hawaii, which is 3 hour plane ride from LA. It's so far out there, and you've heard what a paradise this is. This is such paradise that not many people know about it. A lot of these islands only have a few hundred people living on them. Most populated islands named Majuro. Well, why would they choose Springdale, Arkansas to live? To go to work and sex chickens at a George's chicken plant or Tyson chicken? Well, we bombed the shit out of them. And just like whitewashing the history, you don't hear much about it. So what are the effects of bombing the shit out of it? It turns out, same kind of bombs we dropped in Hiroshima, the big one to end the World War II. We admit our government does, the 67 nuclear bombs. 67. Well, the big question for the people living there, they ain't seen all these planes and all these people shooting all these guns. We're real good at war. Just like we are locking people up and shooting black people. We're good at it. So, after the war, we wanted to flex that military might, and it was called Pacific Proving Ground. That proving ground sounds a little strange to me. And we dropped our first bombs, and there's video of a bunch of kids playing in the ashes. So they're like, what are the effects? Is this dangerous? Is this dangerous? U.S. government kind of told them it was safe all along. You might notice if you do know some Marshallese people, they don't trust healthcare very much. You can kind of see why. I don't know many Marshallese people that haven't been affected of a not so good pregnancy, not to mention all the other things. We know the harms of radiation. There's TV shows on HBO like Chernobyl. You learn about that. Well, today, 74 years after the first bomb, you test soil samples, and it is 10 times more dangerous radioactive than Chernobyl, 1,000 times more dangerous than Fukushima. It is so bad. The government, still to this day, they say, well, it's really unknown. Well, you know how much you can trust U.S. government, the U.S. military? You can trust them about as much as you can trust the police. A police report after pulling over a black man. It's, but we decided we'd kind of let them come over here. You can't get Marshallese translated on Google or anything, so there's plenty of reasons to discriminate against those poor people. You know how that works out in the United States. These bombs were 1,000 times bigger than Hiroshima and Nagasaki. 1,000 times. The largest hydrogen bomb ever dropped was there on Bikini Atoll. And I believe at Niwatak Atoll, perhaps. Excuse me if I got that wrong to my Marshallese brothers and sisters. But these bombs were so amazing. You could be over 100 miles away, and if you looked at the big mushroom cloud explosion, you'd be permanently blinded for the rest of your life. okay? So here's the kind of damage that we've done there. Children, they have no way to live there. What are the harms of that besides saying you got to relocate, we're going to bomb the shit out of you? Well, with all this radioactive, you can't grow crops. How are you going to live? Uninhabitable. No, don't worry, you're right there in the ocean. You can go fishing. Go fishing. Well, radioactive fish have about 3 eyes. If you've ever seen The Simpsons, it's not too funny to them. Which, by the way, SpongeBob, not a favorite in the Marshall Islands if you know anything about the bikini. Anyway, we're so racist, but there's not a lot of them over there. There's, I believe the current counts are around 50,000, 60,000 in the islands. Well, in the United States, we probably have about the same. So we have basically what's going on here. I'm going to go ahead and get dramatic on you, but it's not dramatic, it's real. Ethnic cleansing is what's happening. And there, what's happening here is sad enough, and we're going to talk about that on later videos, but just the whole fact that the United States, they're having to get their own independent scientists to come in because we're not taking care of the people. Where it wasn't a big necessity of war, we did it. It's like getting a new Gucci watch and you want to put it on Facebook. You know, you want to show it off. We wanted to show off our guns, show off our bombs, not worry about the people. We do know this. Life expectancy for people from the Marshall Islands is over 10 years less at least, going up every day because maybe the effects are unknown. We have no way of conceiving how bad it is. We know that my good brother spent 512 days in the Ronald McDonald House. That's how they got to America, because their baby. I'm not going to get emotional here. I'm just going to tell you, y'all, you think you might want to say you're sorry, or oh, I know how white people, they weren't alive when they did that. We don't want to say we're sorry. But maybe be a little understanding of your brothers and sisters. It may look a little different from you. It may talk a little different from you. We're going to talk about those languages that they speak over there. We're going to talk about the beautiful islands there. I want you to keep in mind the biggest threat to humanity is nuclear weapons. Well, those islands are also have the second biggest threat to humanity, which would be climate change. They're not even going to be there 10 to 20 years. They're going underwater. Sea levels rising, taking them over. Cut them a little slack, cut them a break. Most importantly, most beautiful culture of people I've ever known. And they are good people. And all I can say is I'm working in mutual aid, and NRA is a basket of goods. They like to share with each other. There's smaller numbers there, so they get to go back to primitive, and first humans were around, there's 3 or 4 of them. Like, which one of you guys knows how to cook? Which one of you guys knows how to fish? Which one of you guys knows how to be my therapist? Which one of you knows how to grow good weed? We share our benefits. So anytime you meet someone from the Marshall Islands, which I provide food to people who request it. Well, these people that I provide food to, after them requesting it, I find out they haven't eaten in a couple of days. The first thing they do when I give that food to them is they're knocking on the doors of their neighbors, hooking them up. So we're going to close this video now. I'm going to say Komoltada for listening. Thank you. I'm going to say Barloyuk. Till next time, yo Dre, I got something to say.